high pace so that we can cover everything.
With pleasure. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, members of the jury, and thank you for the opportunity you give me today to present MyMove. And I would like to start today with a paradox. You know, as you know, the car are very expensive assets, yet at the same time they are unused almost all the time. This is not new, and the current trends will only make matter worse. Right? You have regulatory changes and tax increases that will make the car even more expensive. You have new ways of working because of COVID and home working that will make the cars even less used. And thanks to the acceleration of the new mobility options, the free floating, the ride hailing, and all the electric bikes in general, the cars will be even less used. So this paradox is only going to become greater. And what do we want to do about it is we want to capture that untapped value. Because why? Is because we believe that to have a sustainable impact, a solution needs to have a wide adoption and therefore needs to make financial sense. This is why we have created a platform that will facilitate everything related to sharing vehicles. And when I say vehicles, it's cars, it's commercial vehicles, but it's also bikes and e-steps, all right? And the way we do it is with a mobile application for the end user, the employee, or anyone using the car, where they can book a vehicle, they can unlock the vehicle, they can pay for the vehicle, they can check for damages. So we really want to remove every single piece of hassle that could arise. On the other hand, we have the fleet manager that can see who was using what vehicle at what time to make sure that they remain in full control. And in the middle, we work with connected vehicles, or we can connect existing vehicles. And this allows us to capture the untapped value of fleets in two ways: reducing the number of cars, which has a sustainable impact and a financial impact that are both positive. And second, by monetizing the fleets by renting them out. Again, so that it can make financial sense. This is how we want to increase wide adoption. In terms of our market potential, we are not only growing, but are taking part in the mobility market. The corporate car sharing market is growing at 75% per year currently. And we are present in 3 market segments. The first one is what we call the pure fleet. The pure fleet is we optimize the fleet size and simplify all the internal sharing process in a company or amongst tenants of a building. The second one is open fleet, meaning that we monetize the fleets by renting out these vehicles. And the third one is a mobility budget, where we can replace every single salary car by a mobility budget that can be used using those shared vehicles. We are present in Belgium on the 3 segments, but we are also present in Switzerland, in the Middle East, and in Central America. So the change is not only happening in our regions, but it's really something that we see on a worldwide basis.
How did you land those contracts in other countries? What's the?
It's in 2 ways. First, with the fact that we actively go out and preach to these let's say open fleet potential car rental companies or car dealers and so on. But also we work with strategic partners. And so, for instance, one of our hardware providers does not have a software suite, and so is giving us some leads in that. And so we can not only get our own clients, but we also get some from our strategic partners, and we have tremendous growth thanks to the combination of both. Next to the market potential, and another aspect I wanted to touch upon is how do we get to a sustainable impact. The first one is obviously climate action, and you know, we need to reduce emissions every year, and so transportation is 29% of the CO2 emissions, and out of those 73% is road transport. And we want to reduce the number of cars. We want to do it in 2 ways. First, as I said, by sharing them. So this means that we can use fewer vehicles. And second, by introducing soft mobility, having in the same application cars, but also bikes and e-steps. This is how we can push it forward. The second one is, and especially with the introduction of electric vehicles, emissions is not only tailpipe emissions, right? It's also producing the car. And it's even more important with the electric vehicles. And it's therefore crucial to go way above the 4% usage rate that we are having at the moment. Because there is no tailpipe emission, we need to make sure that we don't produce too many of these cars, and on the contrary, use and share and use as fewer cars as possible. And this can only be done by sharing. The third one is sustainable cities, smart cities. You know that changing habits takes time, okay? And if we want to improve the air that we breathe in cities, we need to reassure the people we talk with, both the employees and the employers, by saying a sentence as simple as that: don't worry, if you need a car, there will be one, okay? And by the way, in the app, you will also see that you have two-wheelers available for you. So take a bike, take the public transport to come to the office. Don't worry, there's a car if you need one, okay? And the last one is in terms of industry and smart industry and smart vehicles. What is very dear to our heart is to make sure that we don't ask our customers to ditch their own vehicles and replace by new ones that are connected. But on the contrary, we can connect to their current fleet, any brand, any model, so that we can make sure that we bring the change without increasing the waste issue. So we equip the existing vehicles that they have, and so we can prolong their lifetime. I would like to thank you for your attention, and I will just finish by I could have been consensual by ending up with a quote from I don't know, from Greenpeace, but I'd rather have a quote from actually Goldman Sachs, that even them say, you know, mobility is changing, and they confirm that over the next decade, mobility is going to go through a tremendous transformation.
I have one question for you. Are you a software company, electronics design, or are you a kind of installation integration company?
We are a software as a service company. So what we provide is the layer that will facilitate everything related to fleet sharing. And we rely on connected vehicles or on hardware that allow to connect existing vehicles to make sure that we can access these vehicles with the smartphone. But what we develop and what we have developed in-house is the mobile application and the web application. So we are a software company indeed.
Can you go a bit in detail on your biggest success today, like in terms of usage and
so what we are doing right now is and what I think is a great success for us is the brand, the Audi is launching Audi on demand. And we were able to convince Audi Belgium to use our platform to facilitate basically the rental of Audis, and to make sure that instead of having all the replacement cars of a car dealer unused over the weekend, they could rent it out to all the neighbors, and therefore offering a new mobility offering. All right. And so if you go on the App Store today and you download the Audi On Demand app, it's actually our application that has been white labeled for them. And so this is one of the way we helped bringing a new mobility offering on the market.
And do you think that your solution will reduce the usage, or there might be a rebound effect somewhere?
What we see is actually the results speak for themselves in terms of maybe another example to answer your question in a very concrete way. One of our clients, they have 80 employees that decided to go for the mobility budget, so that gave away their company car. All right. And everybody in the company say that this was only made possible because MyMove was there to have a vehicle when they need. And these 80 people, these 70 people use 7 cars together. They use 8 cars, so 70 people, 8 cars. So we were able to remove a tremendous amount of vehicles, so 62 vehicles from the road, because these 70 employees only share 8 vehicles together.
So that's the versus a regular mobility budget company that will just do the allocation. Here you enable the sharing. That's the differentiating aspect, right?
Exactly. So they do not only have their own bike or their public transport subscription, they can also access the shared fleet that is facilitated by MyMove, indeed. And so 70 people, 8 cars.
That's an amazing success.
Yeah. Maybe a key question on my side. What's your target audience? Is it going to be, because you talk quite a lot about company cars and the fleet managers. That is also very specific to the Belgian market, which is very keen on company and fleet cars. But this will decrease in Belgium and everywhere because the tax advantage is going to decrease. Like, is that going to be your priority, knowing that it's a decreasing market? Or is it going to be the communities of citizens? You mentioned people in the same building, and that is a complete different channel. It's a complete different strategy to contact them, to be in contact with them. So I see there a little bit of a discrepancy.
Okay. Thank you for your question, and I fully adhere with that in the sense that as you can see here, the mobility budget is not going to be the biggest part of our growth. So the pure fleet and the open fleet are where we see the biggest potential. Pure fleet being the typical example there would be, we are in talks with the RTBF and the VRT, by the way, because they have a fleet of cars for all of the journalists where they need to go out on missions and so on. And we want to help them with sharing of the vehicles. You can see all the cases where you have commercial vehicles, vans, where you have workers going around, and they have some that are assigned to a driver, but there are others that are pooled, and we want to increase that the proportion of cars that are pooled. Mobility budget is just a tiny part of what we do. This is where we started, so this is why it's kind of dear to our heart. But we are also able to cater for other type of cases. And in terms of the tenants, we are working with Immobel, where we have started a project with them, where in the basement of one of their building, we have cars, steps, and bikes that can be used by any of the tenants.
And what's going to be your priority in terms of development for the next years? That was my question. So.
Our priority is on the open fleets for the moment, because this is where we see that the market is the quickest to react, and this is where we see the biggest short-term potential. So we are going to focus a lot on that over the next few months, bearing in mind that the pure fleet is a very important one as well, and we have our main shareholder that is D'Ieteren, that can help us get in touch with fleet managers, and this is also another strategic partner that we have, and that allow us to get in touch directly with the correct person in the large corporation.
Okay. Any last question?
Yeah, maybe a question that we had also for the previous. Where do you think that you can still use some help? What are the topics from a consulting point of view where you could still improve upon in the next couple of months or years?
So we are in the process of fundraising. So in order to get our message out there in terms of being able to have no, let's say, contradictions in everything we say, and make sure that our message is crystal clear. Plus, in the internationalization, this is something that we are only starting. So we have been quite successful in some deals around the globe, and it really motivates us to go further and quicker outside of Belgium. And this is really a part where how to structure, where to start, how to target. Do we target everywhere? Do we do country by country? Those kind of strategic questions is definitely something where we could use your help.